What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another batch tutorial. Now, in the last video, we were working with strings, and we were trying to create them by using quotation marks. Now, normally when we create strings with quotation marks inside of batch, if we were to try to display that, the batch interpreter actually really interprets those quotation marks that we put in the string. But most programming languages or other scripting languages don't actually do that. They'll just understand that those strings are there to represent that it's a string, and it'll carry on its business in its normal fashion. The thing is, Batch doesn't do that. It's a little quirky and it's a little weird. So what we did is we actually made our own for loop and that sort of thing that was able to strip those quotation marks immediately after we created the string. But that's a little lengthy and a little dumb. I mean, I would hate to have to write out that same for loop over and over and over again every time I just wanted to create a string. So what we're going to do today is actually make our own function that allows us to do this in a little bit of a quicker manner. So let's try it. Let's see what we can put together. I've got Notepad++ ready to roll already, and here we go. If I just actually do add echo off. And what I want to do here with this program or this little script, though, I want it to make this into a global tool. And what I mean by that is I want to be able to use it in every single program that I'm actually working with. I want to be able to actually use it wherever I am, no matter what I'm doing. So I don't want to use any local variables or anything. I don't want to set up my own functions. I just want this to be a very specific, one-task oriented program. So I'm not actually going to jump to any labels. I'm not actually going to declare any local variables and that sort of thing. I'm just going to work as a script. And I recommend that's what you guys do as well, because I'm trying to build this for you guys, and we have a lot more convenience later on when we're programming. But what I actually want to do, though, is try this out. Let's set things up. We can use command line arguments to actually make this into a good professional program. So that's actually what I'm going to be introducing to you guys today as well, using command line arguments inside your batch script and making this function a little bit more versatile wherever we are. So let's set a variable. Let's set the string content, or at least the actual, I'm actually just going to call it string, but I want you guys to know that this is the actual value of the string. And I want this to be the second argument that we pass to it. So what we can use is the percent sign and then 2. Now that's going to represent the second argument that we pass to it. It's a lot like if we were working in a function, we would use like the tilde and then the name of the number, or at least the number that we're using to associate it to. And in our case, we're just going to use the number without the tilde. So there you go. Now we can actually run that little script that we've been working beforehand, or that little for loop. It was for-f, and then if you guys remember, it was useBack and tokens equals asterisk. So we get all the tokens, and we're using the quotations that we want to use. Now I'm going to use g as my variable to loop through these things. Obviously you don't have to, but I'm actually going to change this to string before I forget. And then inside of our set and back in our for loop, we can use these 2 single quotation marks, and inside those actually use the value of our string. And what we will do is we will set string to equal, and then it was 2% signs, the tilde, and the name of the variable you've been used. So do set string to that thing. Now what we can do here is actually make this into a real variable. So let's do set, and now the name of the variable, or what we're going to be trying to send it to, we can say set 1. That's going to be the name of the variable in our case, because we're going to use this as a create string program. So what I want it to actually do is to be create string name, and that's going to be the name of the string and the actual variable name, and then here's going to be the actual content of the string. And so we're using these quotation marks, but it'll actually understand everything inside the quotation marks. So that's exactly what we're building here. So since we're not using anything real fancy or that sort of thing, we're not using any local functions, we're not actually using any local variables, we're just going to work with what we have and make it accessible inside of the scripts we work with otherwise. So let's set the name of this string to actually equal the value of the string. And since we've modified it, it should be everything that we need. So let's go ahead and actually save this as something new. I'm going to call mine create string, and it looks like I've already got something here prior, because I was trying to mess around with this idea before I brought it to you guys. But let's try and actually try and do this. If I get CMD ready to rock, bring this down here, and if I do create string var, and I'll just have it be text, this does everything. And if we were to echo out var, you can see that it exists now. And if we actually were to create a new script, create a new one. If I call mine maybe baby.bat for some reason, I don't know why I would ever call it that, but if we did add echo off, we actually created a normal script. Now what we can do is actually run our script here. We called it create string, and now normally we would be using call, remember, when we're trying to call a function. When we're trying to call an external function, or in our case another batch program, I still want to be able to use that functionality. So if we were to run call create string, and I'll call mine variable this time, and I'll set it to be text in a string. Now if I echo out variable, we should have something pretty cool here. Let's try and run this. If I run baby, text in a string. So we've created the variable, and it knows that we're going to be using this as our name because we're just passing it in as a string, so the function or the program can actually handle it correctly by setting that to be the value, and we still get the stuff inside of there. So this is pretty awesome. We've essentially created ourselves a real simple way to be able to create a string, and we can manipulate the string anywhere, no matter what we do. But this isn't really all that functional. What if I weren't actually in the folder with the create string? If I get my command line back up and I move baby into my desktop, it's baby.bat, remember? If I move it into my desktop and I change directory into my desktop and I try and run baby, create string isn't recognized an external or internal command, operable program, or batch file. And that's because create string isn't in here. So remember, it has to be our own program. So we're going to move it into our default path. Now we've done this before. This should seem like a little this should sound familiar to you guys, you know? This is nothing new. If we head back over there and if I actually get Explorer open, what I'm going to do is do create string. I can copy that and move it to C system32. Actually, it's Windows. That's the default path, system32. And we can just paste it right in. Now we've got a string right there. Now if we CD back to my desktop and then run baby, we still have got text in a string. So boom, we've created something awesome here. We're able to manipulate the string no matter where we are, and we still set up our own function so we can work with it later on. And that's exactly what I want to leave you guys off with today, because in the next video, we're going to be trying to figure out more information about the string and actually set it up so that we can access that information right from the get-go. And we can do this because we've just built our own createString.bat file, and that allows us to use the quotation marks, and in the next video, we're going to be able to use that to make even more cool stuff happen. So I hope you guys are as excited as I am. I'm so excited I can't even speak, and I hope that's rubbing off on you. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Adios.